The fog rolled thick over San Francisco, a gray shroud that clung to the city's edges like a second skin. It was late afternoon on a Tuesday, the kind of day where the sun barely bothered to show up, leaving the streets damp and the air heavy with the promise of rain. Elon Musk checked his watch, 5:47 p.m., and cursed under his breath. He was late. Again. The Tesla board meeting loomed at 6 o'clock sharp, and his driver was stuck in a snarl of downtown traffic 3 blocks back. He could see the headlines now. Musk missed his own meeting, too busy tweeting about Mars? He smirked at the thought, but the pressure gnawed at him. His schedule was a house of cards today, board review, then a call with SpaceX engineers about Starship's next test, followed by a late-night brainstorming session for Neuralink. Every minute counted. "Pull over here," he barked into his phone, already swinging the door of the black Tesla Model S open before the car fully stopped. "I'll cut through the overpass." "Faster on foot." His driver protested, something about security protocols, but Elon waved it off. "5 minutes tops. I'll meet you on the other side." The door slammed shut, and he was off, his sneakers hitting the pavement with a determined thud. The shortcut wasn't glamorous, a narrow path beneath the 101 overpass, flanked by concrete pillars and the dull roar of cars overhead, but it shaved precious time off his route. Time was his currency, and he wasn't about to waste it. The underpass smelled of wet asphalt and exhaust, a gritty contrast to the polished glass towers he'd left behind. Shadows stretched long across the ground, cast by the sodium lights flickering above. Most people hurried through here, heads down, earbuds in, avoiding eye contact with the world. Elon kept his pace brisk, his mind already racing ahead to the meeting, production timelines for the Cybertruck, battery efficiency updates, shareholder questions he'd have to dodge with charm. He barely noticed the makeshift shelters tucked against the pillars, tarps and cardboard, the city's unseen edges, until something stopped him dead in his tracks. She was there, crouched beneath a sagging blue tarp, her back against the crate that might have once held oranges. A young woman, mid-20s maybe, her dark hair pulled into a messy braid that spilled over one shoulder. She wore a threadbare jacket, jeans patched at the knees, and, most strikingly, a faded black Tesla cap, the red logo cracked but unmistakable. Elon's steps faltered. It wasn't just the cap that caught his eye, though that alone was enough to make him pause. It was what she was doing. In her hands, she held a piece of cardboard, rough-edged and stained, and with a stub of charcoal, she was sketching, fast, precise strokes forming the outline of a car. Not just any car. The lines were sharp, the curves deliberate, hinting at something sleek and futuristic. He should have kept walking. He had 4 minutes left to make it to the boardroom, and the world didn't stop spinning for a faded cap or a stranger's doodles. But curiosity, his old friend, his relentless driver, tugged at him. Elon Musk didn't build empires by ignoring sparks. He slowed, then stopped, standing a few feet away, his shadow falling across her tarp. She didn't look up at first, too absorbed in her work, her brow furrowed in concentration. The sketch was taking shape, a low-slung vehicle, its hood angled for airflow, its sides sculpted in a way that screamed efficiency. He tilted his head, intrigued. "Nice hat," he said, his voice cutting through the hum of the overpass. Her head snapped up, eyes wide, dark and wary, like a deer caught in headlights. She was younger than he first thought, her face smudged with dirt but sharp with intelligence. For a moment, she just stared, her grip tightening on the charcoal. Then her gaze flicked to the cap, as if remembering it was there, and back to him. Recognition flickered, those eyes widened a fraction more, but she masked it quick. "Found it," she said, her voice low, rough around the edges, like she hadn't used it much lately. "Keeps the rain off." Elon nodded, hands in his pockets, rocking slightly on his heels. "Tesla fan?" She shrugged, a half-smile tugging at her lips, cautious but real. "More like a physics fan. Electric's the only way forward, less drag, cleaner lines." She tapped the cardboard with her charcoal, leaving a faint smudge. "Gas cars are dinosaurs. Too much waste." He raised an eyebrow, surprised by the casual confidence in her tone. Not just a fan then, someone who thought about it. You know drag coefficients? He asked, testing her. Her smile sharpened, a glint of something fierce in her eyes. Enough to know your roadster could shave a few points with a tighter underbody. Streamline the flow, cut the turbulence. She paused, then added, almost like an afterthought. Not that it's not already insane. Elon blinked, caught off guard. Most people threw flattery or questions at him. When's the next launch? What's Mars like? But this was specific, technical, the kind of critique he'd hear from his own engineers. He glanced at her sketch again, closer now. The car's shape wasn't random. It had purpose, angled vents, a tapered rear, hints of aerodynamic intent. His phone buzzed in his pocket, his assistant, no doubt, wondering where the hell he was, but he ignored it. What's that? He asked, nodding at the cardboard. She hesitated, her fingers hovering over the sketch like she might cover it. Just messing around, she said, but her tone didn't match the words. Too guarded, too quick. Keeps me busy. Busy's good, he said, stepping closer, his voice light but probing. Mind if I see? Her jaw tightened, and for a second, he thought she'd say no. Then she shrugged again, flipping the cardboard toward him with a flick of her wrist. Knock yourself out. He crouched, balancing on the balls of his feet, studying the sketch. It wasn't polished. Charcoal smudged the edges, and the cardboard buckled under her grip, but the design was striking. The car looked like a hybrid of a Tesla and something not yet built, its lines optimized for speed and efficiency. He traced a finger in the air above the vents. These for cooling? Airflow, she corrected, watching him now, her wariness easing into something like curiosity. Redirects drag, feeds it back into thrust. Theoretically, he echoed, a grin tugging at his mouth. You've got numbers for that? She snorted, a dry laugh. Not on cardboard. Need a wind tunnel for the real stuff. Her eyes flicked to his face, then away, like she'd said too much. Elon straightened, his mind buzzing. This wasn't doodling. This was instinct, knowledge, the kind of raw insight he'd spent years hunting in boardrooms and labs. Who was she? How did someone with this kind of brain end up here, sketching on trash under a highway? His phone buzzed again, 2 minutes late now, but he didn't move. What's your name? He asked. She paused, like she was weighing whether to answer. Nadia, she said finally. Nadia Patel. Elon, he replied, then felt a flicker of absurdity. He didn't need to introduce himself. Half the planet knew his face. But she didn't gush or fawn, just nodded, like it was any other name. I know, she said, that half smile back. Kind of hard to miss. He chuckled, then reached into his jacket, pulling out a business card, simple, cream-colored, with his name and a number in stark black print. He didn't give these out often. Most people got a handshake or a wave. But something told him to leave a thread, a chance. He held it out. If you've got more ideas like that, he said, nodding at the sketch, call this. Goes to my assistant. They'll get me. Nadia stared at the card, her fingers smudging charcoal as she took it, careful not to bend it. Why? She asked, her voice blunt, searching his face. He shrugged, hands back in his pockets. I like people who think outside the box, or under the overpass, I guess. He glanced at his watch, 3 minutes late. Gotta run. Take care, Nadia. She didn't say anything, just watched as he turned and jogged off, his sneakers slapping the concrete. But as he disappeared into the fog, he caught a glimpse of her in his peripheral, tucking the card into a battered canvas bag, then pulling out a sketchbook, its cover worn and taped. She flipped it open, her charcoal moving again, faster now, like his words had lit something. What was in that book? What else did she know? Elon hit the street on the other side, his driver pulling up just as he emerged. He slid into the car, already late, his assistant's voice crackling through the phone. Where are you? The board's waiting. But his mind wasn't on the meeting anymore. It was back under that overpass, on a faded Tesla cap and a sketch that shouldn't have been there. Nadia Patel. He'd seen homeless people before, too many, This city's quiet shame, but none like her. None who talked drag coefficients like they were second nature. Traffic, he muttered into the phone, half listening as he stared out the window. The boardroom loomed, but part of him stayed behind, wondering, how does someone like that end up on the streets? And what else was she hiding in that sketchbook she'd been so quick to tuck away? He didn't know, couldn't know, that this fleeting stop, this spark beneath the overpass, would ripple further than he imagined, changing Tesla, challenging limits, and proving once again that brilliance doesn't care where it's born. The boardwalk was quiet now, the sun long gone, leaving only the faint glow of streetlights and the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore. Mia Torres sat cross-legged on the sand, her skateboard propped against her knee, the marker still in her hand. The air had turned cool, sharp with salt, and she pulled her denim jacket tighter around her shoulders, the SpaceX patch crinkling slightly under her fingers. Elon Musk's business card rested in her palm, its edges crisp against her calloused skin. She turned it over, tracing the black letters with her thumb, Elon Musk, a name she'd seen in headlines, on X, in the dogged library books she'd devoured late at night. Call if you've got more ideas, he'd said, his voice casual, like it was no big deal. But it was. To her, it was everything. She tucked the card into her backpack, next to the battered portfolio she'd hidden when he turned away. The portfolio was her secret, her lifeline. Pages of solar designs, scribbled notes, calculations she'd pieced together over years of sneaking into community college lectures and scavenging tech manuals from thrift stores. She'd almost shown it to him, almost flipped it open right there on the boardwalk, but something had stopped her. Fear, maybe? Or habit? Trust wasn't her strong suit, not after everything. Mia zipped the bag shut, her eyes drifting to the dark horizon. The ocean stretched endless, a void she couldn't control, and for a moment, her mind slipped back to a different time, a different life point 5 years ago. Mia had been 12, living in a cramped apartment in East LA with her parents, Rosa and Javier Torres. Her mom worked nights cleaning offices. Her dad fixed cars in a garage that smelled of oil and sweat. They weren't rich, but they were a team. Javier had been the one to spark her love for building things, handing her a wrench when she was 6 and letting her tinker with old engines. "You've got a head for this, Mija," he'd say, grinning as she puzzled out how parts fit together. Rosa would laugh, ruffling her hair. "She's gonna fix the world one day." Back then, Mia believed it. She'd sketch wild ideas, cars that ran on sunlight, houses that powered themselves, dreams her parents encouraged with every spare dollar they scraped together for pencils and graph paper. Then the raid happened. It was a Tuesday, just after dawn, the sky still gray. Mia woke to shouting, boots stomping through the thin walls, ice agents banging on the door. Her parents were undocumented, something she'd never fully grasped until that moment. She'd hidden under her bed, clutching a sketch of a solar-powered bike, as they dragged Javier and Rosa away. "Stay quiet, Mija," her dad had whispered through the chaos. "We'll be back." But they weren't. Deported to Mexico, they'd left her behind, alone, a citizen by birth but a stranger to the system. She'd been shuffled into foster care that same week, her sketches stuffed into a trash bag with her clothes. The first home was a blur. Too many kids, not enough food. Mia learned fast to keep her head down, her ideas to herself. The second was worse, a foster mom who locked the fridge and sneered at her. Weird drawings. By 14, she'd run away, sleeping in parks, under bridges, anywhere she could hide her backpack and her dreams. School became a memory, survival took over. But she never stopped sketching. Libraries became her refuge, free computers, free books, a place to teach herself when no one else would. Solar tech fascinated her most, clean, endless energy, a way to fix what was broken. She'd sit for hours, copying diagrams, tweaking them in her head, her portfolio growing page by page. The SpaceX patch she'd found in a thrift bin last year was a trophy, a reminder of what she could reach for, even if it felt impossibly far. Now, here she was, 17 and alone on a Santa Monica beach, holding a card that could change it all. Mia pulled the portfolio out, flipping it open under the dim light of a nearby lamp. The pages were creased, some smudged with charcoal or coffee stains, but the designs were alive. Solar grids that folded like origami, panels that tracked the sun like flowers. Her latest was on the skateboard, a system to channel heat away from cells, boosting efficiency without extra cost. She'd worked it out last month, lying awake in a shelter, the math clicking into place like a lock turning. It was good, she knew it was good. But showing it to Elon Musk? That was a leap she wasn't sure she could make. What if he's serious? She whispered to the waves, her voice swallowed by the wind. She imagined walking into Tesla, her sketches in hand, engineers nodding at her ideas. Then the other voice kicked in, the one that had kept her alive on the streets. What if he's not? What if he laughs? What if they take it and leave you with nothing? She'd seen it before. Foster kids scammed out of what little they had, promises that turned to dust. Trusting someone like Elon Musk, with his billions and his spotlight, felt like handing over her soul. Mia closed the portfolio, her fingers trembling slightly. She remembered her dad's voice, steady even in that last moment. You're smart, Mija. Smarter than me. Don't let anyone tell you different. He believed in her. So had her mom. They were out there somewhere, Mexico, maybe still hoping she'd make it. She hadn't seen them since the raid, hadn't dared try to find them with no money, no way across the border. But this card, this chance, it could be a bridge, not just to them, but to the life they dreamed for her. She stood, brushing sand off her jeans, the skateboard under her arm. The shelter she'd been crashing at was a mile inland, crowded, loud, but it had a bed and a lock for her stuff. She started walking, the card burning a hole in her backpack. She passed a payphone near the pier, its chipped metal glinting under the streetlight. She stopped, staring at it. Calling now would be crazy. It was late, past 9 p.m., but the number was right there, daring her. Her hand hovered over the receiver, then dropped. Not yet, she muttered, turning away. Need to think. Back at the shelter, Mia claimed her cot in the corner, the hum of snores and rustling blankets filling the room. She slid the portfolio under her pillow, the card tucked inside its cover. Sleep wouldn't come easy, she knew that much. Her mind raced, replaying Elon's words, his grin, the way he'd studied her sketch like it mattered. She'd met people who promised things before, social workers, foster parents, guys on the street with fake smiles. None of them had his eyes though, sharp, curious, like he saw more than she wanted him to. She rolled onto her side, staring at the peeling wall. The skateboard leaned against the cot, its design catching the faint glow from a window. It was hers, her idea, her work. Maybe it was enough to risk it. Maybe this was the spark she'd been waiting for, the one her dad always said she'd find. What if? She whispered again, softer this time, the question hanging in the dark. Across town, Elon Musk sat in his Fremont office, the solar team meeting long over, the room empty except for him and a laptop glowing with production stats. The glitch was fixed, sort of, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the boardwalk, to Mia Torres and her skateboard. He didn't know her story, didn't need to, not yet. What he knew was the spark in her voice, the logic in her sketch. He'd seen it before in engineers twice her age, the ones he paid millions to chase breakthroughs. But a kid like her? That was new. He leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Call Mia, he muttered, half to himself. Show me what's in that head of yours. He didn't know, couldn't know, that she was lying awake, wrestling with the same possibility. Her future balanced on a single phone call she wasn't sure she'd ever make. But the universe, as Elon liked to say, had a way of working itself out. And this story, this blueprint on the boardwalk, was only just beginning. The Santa Monica Library was a sanctuary of silence, its fluorescent lights buzzing faintly overhead, the air thick with the scent of old paper and dust. It was Monday morning, 2 days after Mia Torres had met Elon Musk on the boardwalk, and she sat at a chipped wooden table in the corner, her backpack slumped beside her. The SpaceX patch on her jacket caught the light as she shifted, her skateboard propped against the chair, its underside still marked with her solar sketch. In her hands was Elon's business card, its edges softened from being turned over and over since Saturday night. She'd barely slept, caught at the shelter too hard, her mind too loud, replaying his words, his grin, the way he looked at her design like it wasn't just scribbles. "Call if you've got more ideas," he'd said. Now, here she was, staring at a payphone across the room, its black receiver daring her to move. Mia's fingers tightened around the card, her thumb brushing the raised letters. She'd come to the library to think, to escape the chaos of the shelter and the weight of her own doubts. This place had been her haven for years, free Wi-Fi, stacks of engineering books, a quiet corner where no one asked questions. She'd taught herself here, piecing together solar tech from borrowed textbooks and YouTube tutorials, her portfolio growing with every late-night session. But this was different. This wasn't sketching in the dark or dreaming in silence. This was real, a chance to step out of the shadows and into something bigger. Maybe too big. She glanced at the portfolio on the table, its taped cover hiding pages of designs she'd poured her soul into. Her latest, beyond the skateboard sketch, was a foldable solar grid, lightweight and cheap, something she'd imagined powering homes like the one she'd lost. She'd worked out the math in her head last night, scribbling on a napkin when the shelter lights went out. 30% more output than standard panels, no rare metals, all from stuff you could find in a hardware store. It was hers, born from years of scavenging and grit. But showing it to Elon Musk? That meant trusting him, trusting anyone, and Mia didn't do trust. Not since the raid, not since foster care taught her that people take more than they give. The clock above the librarian's desk ticked past 10 a.m. She'd been here an hour, stalling, flipping through a book on photovoltaics she'd already memorized. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since yesterday's stale shelter bagel, but she ignored it. Focus was her strength, always had been. She closed her eyes, picturing her dad's face, his calloused hands guiding hers over an engine block. "You're smart, Mija," he'd said. "Don't let the world tell you no." He believed in her, even when IC tore them apart. Her mom, too, Rose's tired smile as she'd slipped extra graph paper into Mia's school bag. They were out there, somewhere in Mexico, maybe thinking she'd forgotten them. She hadn't. This call could be her way back, not just to them, but to who she was supposed to be. Mia opened her eyes, her jaw tightening. "Screw it," she muttered, shoving the portfolio into her backpack and grabbing the skateboard. She crossed the room in 5 quick strides, her sneakers squeaking on the linoleum, and stopped at the payphone. Her hands shook as she pulled the card out, quarters jingling in her pocket, 50 cents, scavenged from a vending machine return slot. She dropped them in, the clink loud in the quiet, and dialed the number, her heart hammering against her ribs. 1 ring. 2. 3. She almost hung up, panic clawing at her throat, when a voice cut through. "This is Amber Patel, Mr. Musk's office." The tone was crisp, professional, like a wall Mia wasn't sure she could climb. She froze, her mouth dry. Hi. This is Mia. Mia Torres. I met Mr. Musk on Saturday. On the boardwalk. He gave me this card, said to call if I had ideas." Her words tumbled out, clumsy and fast, nothing like the confidence she'd faked with him. A pause. Mia heard typing, sharp and quick. "I see. And what's this regarding, Ms. Torres?" Mia swallowed, gripping the receiver tighter. "Solar stuff. Designs. He saw one I did, on my skateboard, and said if I had more I should." She trailed off, feeling ridiculous. Who was she kidding? A billionaire's assistant wasn't going to care about some street kid's sketches. Another pause, longer this time. More typing. Mia's palms sweated, the phone slippery against her ear. She pictured Amber signaling security, laughing at the idea of a girl like her calling Elon Musk. Then a click, and the line shifted. No elevator music, just silence, making her stomach drop. "Mia? The skateboard girl?" Elon's voice burst through, familiar, slightly out of breath, like he'd grabbed the phone mid-step. "Didn't expect you to call so soon." She blinked, stunned. Yeah, that's me. You said to call if you had more ideas." "Right." He sounded amused, curious. "So, what's up? That sketch on the board, Was that a one-off, or you got more in that head of yours? Mia's breath caught. This was it, her shot. She straightened, the words spilling out before she could overthink them. I've got more. A lot more. I've been working on solar designs for years. Grids, panels, stuff that's cheaper, lighter, pulls more power. I've got a portfolio, not just a skateboard thing. I think it could help Tesla. Or something. She winced at the or something smooth, Mia, real smooth. Not just a skateboard thing. He echoed, and she could hear the grin in his voice. Years, huh? How old are you, Mia? 17, she said, bracing for disbelief. 17, he repeated, not skeptical, just impressed. All right, tell you what. I'm in Fremont today, meetings all morning, but I can carve out time tomorrow. 10 a.m. Tesla HQ, know it? Her mind reeled. Tesla HQ? That was an hour away, maybe more, and she had no car, no money for a bus. But she nodded anyway, like he could see her. Yeah, I can find it. Bring that portfolio, he said. I want to see what you've got. No promises. If it's good, we'll talk. If it's not, no harm. Either way, I'm curious. Cool? Cool, she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Thanks, Mr. Musk. Elon, he corrected. See you tomorrow, Mia. The line clicked dead. She stood there, the receiver still pressed to her ear, until a librarian clearing her throat snapped her out of it. You done, Han? The woman asked, eyeing her. Yeah, Mia said, hanging up, her voice distant. Yeah, I'm done. She stumbled back to the table, dropping into the chair, her skateboard clattering to the floor. Tesla HQ, tomorrow, with Elon Musk. It didn't feel real, none of it did. Her hands shook as she pulled out the portfolio, flipping to the foldable grid design. Was it good enough? Good enough for him? She didn't know, but she'd find out. Across the Bay Area, Elon Musk leaned back in his Fremont office chair, a half-eaten energy bar on his desk, the solar team's latest report glowing on his laptop. He'd been mid-debate with engineers about tile durability when Amber patched Mia through, and now his mind was buzzing. A 17-year-old with solar designs? On a skateboard? He'd seen her spark on the boardwalk, that raw edge of talent, but this call, it was proof she wasn't just a fluke. He didn't know her story, didn't need to yet, but he knew potential when he heard it. Amber, he called through the open door. Clear 10 a.m. tomorrow. Got a meeting with a kid who might just surprise us. His assistant poked her head in, eyebrow raised. The skateboard girl? Yep, he said, grinning. Let's see what she's hiding in that portfolio. Back at the library, Mia packed up, slinging her backpack over her shoulder, the skateboard under her arm. She had no idea how she'd get to Fremont. Hitchhike, maybe, or scrape coins for a bus, but she'd figure it out. She always did. As she stepped into the bright morning sun, the card still in her pocket, she felt something shift inside her. Fear, yeah, but something else too, hope, sharp and fragile, like a match struck in the dark. She didn't know, couldn't know, that this call, this quiet moment, was the first step toward a future she'd only dared sketch in her wildest dreams. But the boardwalk was behind her now, and Tesla was ahead. The morning sun blazed over Santa Monica, turning the asphalt into a shimmering haze as Mia Torres stood at the edge of a bus stop, her skateboard tucked under her arm. It was Tuesday, 7:32 a.m., less than 3 hours until her meeting with Elon Musk at Tesla HQ in Fremont. An hour away, maybe more, and her pockets held exactly $2.17 in change. She'd counted it twice last night at the shelter, lying awake on her cot, the SpaceX patch on her jacket digging into her shoulder. The bus fare was $7 one way. She'd checked online at the library, and hitchhiking wasn't an option, not with her portfolio in her backpack, its taped edges holding everything she'd built over years of scraping by. She adjusted the straps, her palms sweaty despite the cool breeze. She'd made the call yesterday, crossed that line, and now she had to get there. No excuses. Mia glanced down the street, the 405 freeway humming in the distance. She mapped it out in her head: Santa Monica to Fremont, 50 miles, too far to skate, too risky to walk. Her eyes landed on a beat-up pickup truck parked near the pier, its bed loaded with surfboards, a guy in a wetsuit tossing a towel inside. She'd seen him around: Rico, mid-20s, a regular who sometimes traded food for odd jobs. Not a creep, as far as she could tell. She took a breath, squared her shoulders, and jogged over, her sneakers slapping the pavement. "Hey, Rico," she called, slowing as he turned. "You heading north today?" He squinted at her, wiping salt water from his brow. "Yeah, maybe." "Why?" "Need a ride," she said, keeping her voice steady. "Fremont. Got a meeting, big one. Can't pay much, but..." She dug into her pocket, pulling out the crumpled bills and coins. $2 and some change. "All I've got." Rico laughed, a short, dry sound, then eyed her backpack. "Fremont's a haul, kid." "What's the meeting?" She hesitated, the truth sounding absurd even to her. "Tesla. With Elon Musk. He wants to see my designs." His eyebrows shot up, skepticism flickering across his face. "Elon Musk? For real?" She nodded, pulling the business card from her pocket, holding it out like proof. He took it, squinting at the print, then whistled low. "Damn, Mia. You're serious." He handed it back, scratching his jaw. "All right, $2 works. Hop in. Gotta drop some boards in Venice first, but I'll get you there." Relief flooded her, sharp and sudden. "Thanks, Rico." "Seriously. Don't thank me yet," he said, grinning. "Truck's a mess. Hope you don't mind sand." She didn't. She climbed into the passenger seat, the cab smelling of salt water and weed, her skateboard on her lap, portfolio hugged tight against her chest. The engine sputtered to life, and they rolled north, the ocean shrinking in the side mirror. Mia stared out the window, her stomach twisting, part hunger, part nerves. She hadn't eaten since that shelter bagel, but food could wait. Getting to Tesla couldn't. Rico chatted about waves and a board he'd snapped last week, but her mind was elsewhere, replaying yesterday's call, Elon's voice. "Bring that portfolio. I want to see what you've got." What if it wasn't enough? What if he saw a kid playing pretend? The drive stretched long, Venice drop-off, traffic on the 880. But Rico pulled into Fremont just past 9:40 a.m., the Tesla HT looming ahead, all glass and steel, a fortress of innovation. Mia's breath caught as she stepped out, the truck's door creaking shut behind her. "Good luck, skateboard girl," Rico called, peeling off with a wave. She stood there, alone, the building's shadow swallowing her. Her jeans were faded, her jacket patched, her sneakers scuffed, nothing like the polished suits streaming through the entrance. But she was here. She'd made it. Inside, the lobby gleamed, marble floors, a Model S on display, employees buzzing with purpose. Mia approached the receptionist, a woman with a sleek bob and a tablet. "Hi, I'm Mia Torres. Here to see Elon Musk. 10 a.m. The woman typed, then frowned slightly. "One moment." She made a call, her voice low, and Mia's stomach dropped. Had Elon forgotten? Was this a mistake? Then the receptionist smiled. "Mr. Musk's team is expecting you. Take this badge, 3rd floor, conference room B." She handed over a visitor pass, and Mia clipped it to her jacket, her hands trembling. The elevator ride felt endless, the mirrored walls reflecting a girl she barely recognized. Wild hair, fierce eyes, a portfolio clutched like a shield. The doors opened to a hallway buzzing with activity, engineers with laptops, whiteboards scribbled with equations. She found conference room B, its glass walls revealing a long table, a screen, and Elon Musk himself, pacing with a coffee mug, mid-conversation with 2 others in Tesla polos. He spotted her through the glass, grinned, and waved her in. "Mia, the skateboard girl," he said, setting the mug down as she stepped inside. "Right on time. These are my solar leads, Dr. Kim and Javier Ortiz. Guys, this is Mia Torres." She nodded, awkward under their curious stares. Dr. Kim, a woman with short gray hair, offered a polite smile. Javier, broad-shouldered with a beard, just watched her, his expression unreadable. Mia set her skateboard against the wall, her backpack heavy on her shoulder. Rough trip? Elon asked, eyeing her dusty jacket. Little bit, she admitted, forcing a half smile. Got here though. Good, he said, dropping into a chair and leaning forward. So, that portfolio, you said it's got more than a skateboard sketch. Let's see it. Mia's heart thudded as she slid the backpack off, unzipping it with shaky fingers. She pulled out the portfolio, worn, taped, a mess compared to this sleek room, and placed it on the table. Been working on these for years, she said, her voice quieter than she meant. Solar stuff, grids, panels, ways to make them cheaper, stronger. She flipped it open, revealing the first page, her foldable grid, hand-drawn with notes in the margins. Elon leaned in, eyes scanning the sketch, while Dr. Kim and Javier exchanged a glance. This the one you mentioned? He asked, tapping the page. Lightweight, high output? Yeah, Mia said, gaining traction. Folds up, portable, but it's got channels to vent heat, like the skateboard thing. Boosts efficiency, cuts costs. No rare stuff, just what's out there already. Javier slid the portfolio closer, his brow furrowing as he studied the grid's angles. These vents, you're redirecting airflow to stabilize the cells? Exactly, she said, leaning in despite herself. Keeps them from degrading fast. Could get 30% more power, maybe, without jacking up the price. Dr. Kim pulled out a tablet, tapping notes. 30% is bold. You've got data for that? Not hard numbers, Mia admitted, her confidence flickering. No lab, just math. But I've run the equations, on paper it holds. Elon grinned, flipping to the next page. Another design, a hexagonal array. No lab, huh? You're 17, you said? Yeah. She nodded, bracing for doubt. Self-taught? Javier asked, his tone sharp but not unkind. Pretty much, she said. Libraries, YouTube, whatever I could find. Been at it since I was 12. The room went quiet, the weight of her words sinking in. Elon leaned back, crossing his arms. All right, Mia. Here's the deal. I've got a solar team drowning in overpriced prototypes. If your stuff's half as good as it looks, we could use it. Leave the portfolio. I'll have these two dig into it. Come back tomorrow, 2 p.m. We'll run a sim, see if your math sinks. Mia blinked, stunned. Tomorrow? Yep, he said, standing. Gotta move fast, world's not waiting. You good with that? Yeah, she said, her voice steadier now. I'm good. Cool, he said, grabbing his mug. See you then. He headed out, leaving her with Dr. Kim and Javier, who were already flipping through her pages, murmuring about cell spacing and heat flow. Mia stepped into the hall, her skateboard under her arm, the portfolio gone from her hands. She'd done it, gotten here, shown them, and they hadn't laughed her out. But as the elevator doors closed, doubt crept back. What if the sim failed? What if she'd overestimated? She pushed it down, stepping into the Fremont sun. She had no ride back, no plan, but she'd figure it out. She always did. I in his office. Elon watched her leave on a security feed, a smirk tugging at his lips. 17, self-taught, and she's got us beat on airflow. He muttered, texting Amber, clear 2 p.m. tomorrow. Mia's sim's priority. He didn't know her story, not yet, but he knew a spark when he saw one. And this spark was about to light up more than a boardwalk. Below is part 5, the simulation spark of the 10-part YouTube script. The blueprint on the boardwalk. This part continues the narrative style of the original. Elon Musk discovers a homeless man wearing a Tesla shirt. Transcript, blending emotional storytelling, dialogue, and suspense with an inspirational tone tailored for a YouTube audience. It's written in English, aiming for approximately 20,000 characters, including spaces and punctuation, and serves as the 5th installment, focusing on the simulation of Mia Torres' solar design at Tesla HQ, the engineer's reactions, and the first ripples of her past surfacing. This part marks a turning point, blending technical triumph with personal tension, propelling Mia deeper into Tesla's world. The blueprint on the boardwalk. Part 5. The simulation sparked. The Tesla HQ hummed with Wednesday afternoon energy. A low buzz of keyboards and murmured debates filtering through the third-floor lab. Mia Torres stood outside conference room B, her skateboard propped against the wall, her backpack slung over one shoulder. It was 1:55 p.m., 5 minutes before her meeting with Elon Musk and his solar team, and her stomach churned, not from hunger this time, though she'd skipped breakfast again, but from the weight of what was coming. Yesterday, she'd handed over her portfolio, her years of sketches and dreams, to a room of strangers who could make or break her with a single test. Now they'd run her foldable solar grid through a simulation, and she'd find out if her math held up, or if she'd been kidding herself all along. She adjusted her jacket, the SpaceX patch catching the light, and smoothed her hair with a shaky hand. She'd hitched a ride back to Santa Monica last night, some college kid heading to UCLA, and crashed at the shelter, her mind too wired to sleep. Getting here today had been another scramble, a borrowed bike, a bus with her last coins, and a half-mile jog from the stop. Her jeans were dusty, her sneakers scuffed, but she was here. Again. The glass door slid open, and Javier Ortiz, the bearded engineer from yesterday, poked his head out. "Mia," he said, his tone neutral. "We're ready." She nodded, swallowing hard, and followed him in. The room was brighter today, a massive screen dominating one wall, glowing with data and 3D renderings. Elon Musk lounged at the table, tapping a pen against a coffee mug, while Dr. Kim sat beside him, her tablet open to Mia's sketches. Two more engineers, younger, in Tesla polos, huddled at a laptop, adjusting parameters. The portfolio lay spread out, pages marked with sticky notes, and Mia's chest tightened. They'd been through it, really through it. "Mia," Elon said, grinning as she stepped in. "Survived the trek back, huh? Grab a seat." She slid into a chair across from him, her backpack at her feet. "Yeah," she said, managing a half smile. "Made it." "Good," he said, leaning forward. "Because we've been busy." "Dr. Kim, Javier, walk us through it." Dr. Kim tapped her tablet, and the screen flared to life, a digital model of Mia's foldable grid, its hexagonal cells glinting in a virtual sun. "We took your design, the portable grid with airflow channels," she began, her voice precise. "Ran it through our solar sim last night. Standard conditions first, 25 degrees Celsius, moderate sunlight, then stress tests, heat spikes, wind, wear over time." Mia's hands clenched under the table, her nails digging into her palms. She'd done the math on napkins and library margins, never in a lab like this. What if she'd missed something? Javier took over, pointing to a graph spiking upward. Outputs the headline. "Your grid hit 32% higher efficiency than our current solar roof prototype, right in line with your estimate. The vents work, heat dissipation smoother, keeps the cells stable. Degradation rates down 15% over 5 years, theoretically." 32%, Elon echoed, eyebrows shooting up. "That's not a tweak, that's a leap." Mia blinked, her breath catching. "It worked?" "More than worked," Dr. Kim said, swiping to a heat map. "The airflow design's clever, channels heat out without extra hardware. We need prototypes to confirm, but the sim's solid." The younger engineers nodded, one muttering, "Never seen spacing like that." As he zoomed in on the model, Mia's head spun. 32% wasn't just good, it was better than she'd hoped. Her napkin math had held up, maybe even outshone their $1 million setups. She glanced at Elon, expecting skepticism, but he was grinning, tapping his pen faster. "Self-taught, no lab, and you're outpacing us," he said, almost to himself. "What else you got in there?" He nodded at the portfolio. Before she could answer, Javier flipped to another page, her hexagonal array from yesterday. "This one's next," he said. "We didn't sim it yet, but the logic's tight. Could push rooftop output even higher." "Cue it up," Elon said, then turned to Mia. "You're staying, right? We'll run it today, see if you've got another winner." "Staying?" she repeated, caught off guard. She hadn't planned beyond this meeting, hadn't thought they'd want her past 2 p.m. "Yeah," he said like it was obvious. "Stick around, watch The Sims. Maybe pitch in. You're the brain behind this." Dr. Kim studied her, a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. "Where'd you learn this, Mia?" "This isn't hobby stuff, cell dynamics, thermal flow, it's advanced." Mia shifted, the question hitting harder than she expected. "Just picked it up," she said, dodging. "Libraries, online, whatever was free. Started young." "How young?" Javier pressed, his tone sharper now. 12, she admitted, her voice quieter. "Had a lot of time to mess with it." The room stilled, the engineers exchanging glances. Elon tilted his head, studying her like a puzzle. 12, he said. "And you're 17 now. 5 years of this, on your own?" "Yeah." She nodded, her throat tight. She didn't want to go there. Not the raid, not foster care, not the nights under bridges with her portfolio as a pillow. Not yet. He didn't push, just leaned back. "All right. Stay today, we'll test the array. If it's half as good as the grid, I've got an offer for you. Short-term gig, see where it goes." "A gig?" she echoed, her pulse racing. "Yep," he said. "No promises, just a foot in the door." "Cool?" "Cool," she managed, her mind reeling. "A gig at Tesla. Not a handout, not a dream, a real shot." "Great," he said, standing. "I've got a call, back in 20. Run that array sim, guys. Mia, make yourself at home." He grabbed his mug and showed out, leaving her with the team. Javier slid the portfolio back to her, a faint smile breaking his stern face. "You've got something here, kid. Let's see if it holds." Dr. Kim nodded, already prepping the sim, and the younger engineers fired up the laptop, pulling Mia into the setup with quick questions, cell angles, vent specs. She answered, her nerves fading as the tech took over, her world narrowing to numbers and designs. By 3 p.m., the hexagonal array sim was live, the screen showing a rooftop glowing with virtual sunlight. Output climbed, 28% over baseline, then 30%, stabilizing as the vents kicked in. "Another hit," Dr. Kim murmured, tapping notes. Javier scribbled something, glancing at Mia with new respect. She sat there, stunned, watching her ideas breathe in a way pencils and napkins never could. But the moment cracked when Amber, Elon's assistant, slipped in, a tablet in hand. "Mia Torres?" she asked, her voice low. Mia nodded, wary. "Got a sec?" Amber stepped outside, motioning her to follow. I in the hall. Amber's expression was tight. "We ran a quick background check, standard for anyone working here, even short-term. Your name popped up in a foster system database. No red flags, but you're listed as a runaway. Active case, 2 years old." Mia's stomach dropped, the air thinning. "That's old news," she said, forcing calm. "I'm fine now." Amber nodded, not unkindly. "Just need to confirm you're stable. Housing basics. Elon's cool with unconventional hires, but HR's strict." "You got a place?" "Shelter," Mia said, her voice flat. "It's temporary." Amber typed something, then softened. "Okay. We'll figure it out. Elon's back soon. He'll want to know the sim results. Stay for that." Mia nodded, retreating to the room, her triumph souring. The sim glowed on the screen, her ideas winning, but her past was clawing up, threatening to spill. She sank into her chair, the skateboard at her feet, as Javier called out. "Ready for round 2? She forced a nod, burying the fear. She'd come too far to crack now. Back in his office, Elon hung up from a SpaceX call, his mind half on Mia. Amber buzzed in. "Sims a go, her stuff's legit. Background's messy though. Runaway, shelter kid. Messy's fine," he said, grinning. "Genius usually is. Keep her here. Let's see how far she can run with this." He didn't know, not yet, how deep Mia's shadows went, or how her past was about to test her present. But the Sims didn't lie, and neither did her spark. The boardwalk was a memory, Tesla was her stage now, and the spotlight was just starting to burn. Thank you for the kind words. I'm thrilled you're enjoying it. Below is part 6, the edge of exposure of the 10-part YouTube script. The blueprint on the boardwalk. This part continues the narrative style of the original. Elon Musk discovers a homeless man wearing a Tesla shirt. Transcript, weaving emotional storytelling, dialogue, and suspense with an inspirational tone tailored for a YouTube audience. It's written in English, targeting approximately 20,000 characters, including spaces and punctuation, and serves as the 6th installment, focusing on Mia Torres' first days in her short-term gig at Tesla, the deepening of her solar designs, and the escalating tension as her runaway past threatens to derail her progress. This part balances triumph with looming danger, pushing Mia's journey forward. The blueprint on the boardwalk. Part 6. The edge of exposure. The Tesla lab glowed under fluorescent lights, a maze of screens, wires, and humming machines that felt like a different planet to Mia Torres. It was Thursday afternoon, her second day in the short-term gig Elon Musk had offered after her solar sims lit up the room yesterday. She sat at a borrowed desk in conference room B, her skateboard tucked under the table, the SpaceX patch on her jacket catching glints from a nearby monitor. In front of her was a sleek laptop, her first real workstation, open to a 3D rendering of her foldable solar grid, now nicknamed Torres Grid by Javier Ortiz, who'd muttered it half-joking during a test run. She'd been here since 8 a.m., tweaking designs with Dr. Kim and the team, her fingers flying over keys she'd only dreamed of touching in library cubicles. The gig was real, 3 weeks, paid hourly, a chance to prove her portfolio wasn't a fluke. Elon had handed her a temporary badge yesterday, grinning as he'd said, "Make it sing, Mia." She'd nodded, too stunned to speak, and now here she was, surrounded by engineers who didn't flinch at her faded jeans or patched jacket. They cared about her ideas, 32% efficiency, heat vents that worked, a hexagonal array pushing 30%, and that was enough. For the first time in years, Mia felt like she belonged somewhere, like her sketches weren't just survival but something bigger. Dr. Kim leaned over her shoulder, pointing at the screen. "Adjust the vent angle here, 5 degrees. Might squeeze another % out." Her tone was brisk but warm, a mentor's nudge. Mia nodded, dragging the slider, watching the sim recalculate. The output ticked up, 33.2%. She grinned, small but real, and Dr. Kim clapped her on the back. "Nice. You're quick." "Had to be," Mia said, half under her breath, her mind flashing to nights hunched over library tables, racing closing hours. Javier, across the room, was prototyping her hexagonal array, soldering tiny cells onto a test panel. "This one's trickier," he called, not looking up. "But if it holds, we're talking rooftop game changer." Mia stood, stretching, and crossed to him. "Need the spacing tighter on the edges, keeps the flow even." He grunted, adjusting, and she felt a flicker of pride. Her voice mattered here. The team moved fast, tossing questions her way, thermal limits, material stress, and she answered, her street-learned instincts syncing with their lab precision. By noon, the array prototype was live, its output climbing to 31% in a mini-sim. "Solid," Javier said, finally meeting her eyes. "You're not just a one-hit wonder, huh?" "Guess not," she said, a spark of confidence flaring. She was good at this, really good, and they saw it. Elon breezed in at 1 p.m., a coffee mug in one hand, a tablet in the other. "Heard we've got hits," he said, scanning the room. "Torres grids at 33%? 33.2, Dr. Kim corrected, smirking. "And the array's at 31. Mia's tweaking faster than we can test." Elon grinned, dropping into a chair beside Mia. "Told you, self-taught beats us sometimes." "What's next?" She hesitated, then flipped her portfolio, still on loan from yesterday, to a page she'd held back, a modular solar skin, thin as paper, designed to coat anything, roofs, cars, even tents. "This," she said, sliding it over. "Flexible, cheap. Could power small stuff off-grid." He studied it, eyes narrowing. "Thin film vibes, but with your vent trick." "Output?" 20% in theory, she said. Haven't tested it. Need better gear. Gear we've got, he said, tapping the page. Run it. I want a sim by Friday. Could be a side project. Off-grid's huge. Think disaster zones, remote spots. He stood, already moving. Keep pushing, Mia. 3 weeks isn't forever. She nodded, her mind racing. A side project? This was more than a gig. It was a door cracking wider. She spent the afternoon modeling the solar skin, losing herself in equations, the shelter fading to a distant hum. By 5 p.m., the sim was rough but promising, 18% efficiency, room to grow. Dr. Kim gave her a thumbs up as the team trickled out, leaving Mia alone with the glow of her screen. She leaned back, exhaling, the skateboard at her feet a quiet anchor. She could do this, really do this. But the quiet shattered when Amber Patel slipped in, her tablet glowing with something that made Mia's stomach twist. Mia, she said, her voice low, urgent. We need to talk now. Mia straightened, wary. What's up? Amber closed the door, her expression tight. Your background check. It's not just HR anymore. Social services called Tesla today. They tracked you here, your runaway file's active, and they're asking questions. Mia's breath hitched, the room tilting. What kind of questions? Where you're living, why you're here, Amber said. They flagged you as a minor, 17, no guardian. Tesla's fine with you working, but legally, they might pull you if you're not stable. I'm stable, Mia snapped, sharper than she meant. Shelter's got a bed, I'm eating, I'm here. Amber softened, but her eyes were firm. Shelter's not enough for them. They want custody sorted, or proof you're emancipated. Elon's pushing to keep you, but HR's freaking out. We need a fix fast. Mia's hands clenched, her nails biting her palms. She'd run from foster care 2 years ago. Fake names, cash jobs, staying off the grid. She thought she'd outrun it, but now it was here, clawing at her new life. What kind of fix? She asked, her voice low. Temporary housing, Amber said. Tesla's got a relocation program, apartments for new hires. Elon's willing to front it, 3 months, give you a base. But you need to sign off, let us handle social services. Mia stared at her, the offer dangling like a lifeline, and a trap. A real place, not a cot in a crowded room, but it meant paperwork, exposure, maybe questions about her parents. She'd kept them buried. Javier and Rosa, deported 5 years ago, lost to her since the raid. What if this dug them up? What if it broke her? I need to think, she said, stalling. Think fast, Amber said, handing her a form. Tomorrow's the deadline. Social services wants answers by noon. Elon's back then. He'll push it through if you say yes. Mia nodded, tucking the form into her backpack, her mind a storm. Amber left, and she sank into her chair, the laptop still glowing with her solar skin sim. 18%, a win, but it felt hollow now. She'd fought for this, scraped her way here, and now her past was a shadow she couldn't shake. She grabbed her skateboard and slipped out, the Fremont dust cool against her skin. She skated to a nearby park, dropping onto a bench, the portfolio beside her. The shelter was a 20-minute ride away, but she couldn't face it, not yet. She pulled out the form, scanning it, address, signature, a promise of stability. It was safety, a chance to stay at Tesla, but it felt like a cage, too. She thought of her dad's voice. Don't let the world tell you no. And her mom's tired smile. They'd want this for her, wouldn't they? Her phone buzzed, a cheap burner she'd bought last week with her first Tesla paycheck. A text from an unknown number. Mia, it's Rico. Heard you're killing it at Tesla. Need a lift back? She stared at it, a lifeline from the boardwalk days. She typed back, yeah, park near HQ. Thanks. Maybe she wasn't as alone as she thought. I in his office. Elon scrolled X, half listening to Amber's update. Social services? He asked, frowning. She's 17, smart as hell. They can't yank her. They might, Amber said. Runaway status, she's a minor. Housing's the workaround. Make it happen, he said, decisive. Her grid's gold, 33% S just to start. I want her here, not in some system. He didn't know, not yet, how close Mia was to cracking, or how her past was a fuse burning short. But as Rico's truck rumbled up, Mia climbed in, the form in her pocket, her resolve hardening. She'd sign it, had to. Tesla was her shot, and she wasn't letting it slip, not even for the ghosts chasing her down. The Tesla relocation office smelled of fresh paint and coffee, a sterile contrast to the salty chaos of the Santa Monica boardwalk Mia Torres had left behind. It was Friday morning, just past 9 a.m., and she stood at a sleek counter, her skateboard propped against her leg, the SpaceX patch on her jacket catching the light. In her hands was the housing form Amber had given her last night, now creased from a sleepless night of folding and unfolding. She'd signed it at dawn, her name, Mia Torres, scrawled in black ink after hours of staring at the shelter ceiling, weighing the cost. Stability meant Tesla, a shot at her dreams, but it also meant wires tripping back to a past she'd buried. She slid the form across to a clerk, a young guy in a Tesla Polo who barely glanced at her patched jeans. ID? He asked, tapping a tablet. Mia handed over her battered state ID, issued at 15, before she'd run, its edges worn from years in her backpack. He scanned it, nodded. All right, you're in. Unit 12, 3rd floor. Keys here, move in today if you want. He slid a keycard and a pamphlet her way, then turned back to his screen. Mia stared at the keycard, its Tesla logo glinting. A real place, hers for 3 months. No shelter cots, no curfews, just walls and a door she could lock. Thanks, she muttered, pocketing it, her skateboard under her arm as she headed out. The building was a mile from HQ, a boxy complex of glass and brick for new hires and interns. She skated over, the morning sun warm on her back, her portfolio safe in her backpack. By 10 a.m., she stood in Unit 12, a studio with a twin bed, a desk, a tiny kitchen, bare but clean, the first space she'd had since East LA. She dropped her stuff, the silence heavy, and sat on the bed, the springs creaking under her. Home, she whispered, testing the word. It didn't fit, not yet. She made it to Tesla HQ by 11, her temporary badge buzzing her through. The lab was alive, Javier soldering her hexagonal array, Dr. Kim running sims on the solar skin she'd pitched yesterday. 18.7% now. Dr. Kim called as Mia walked in, tweaking her jacket. You were right, thinner substrate bumped it up. Mia grinned, sliding into her desk. Told you, less weight, more flex. She opened her laptop, diving into the solar skin model, her fingers steady on the keys. The gig felt real now, 2 days in, her design shaping prototypes, her voice echoing in a room of PhDs. By noon, Elon swept in, a Red Bull in hand, scanning the array on Javier's bench. 31% holding? He asked, sipping. 31.4. Javier said, wiping solder from his hands. Mia's spacing trick, keeps it cool. Elon glanced at her, grinning. You're racking up wins, skateboard girl. Solar skin sim? 18.7, she said, turning her screen. Could hit 20 with a tighter grid. 20's a sweet spot, he said, leaning in. Push it, disaster relief loves portable. I'll check back Monday. He was out as fast as he'd come, leaving Mia buzzing. She worked late, past 6 p.m., the lab emptying as she refined the skin's vents, her mind lost in the flow. This was it, her shot, her stage, and she wasn't wasting it. But the wires of her past were tightening. At 7 p.m., Amber found her in the lab, her tablet glowing with urgency. Mia, she said, closing the door. Social services called again, escalated it. They've got your file live now, tied to your ID from the housing sign-up. Mia's stomach sank, her laptop dimming as she looked up. What do they want? Custody clarification, Amber said, her voice low. You're 17, no guardian, runaway status active. They're digging, where you've been, how you're here. Asked about your parents. Mia's breath caught the word, parents, a knife she'd dulled over years. They're gone, she said flat. Deported 5 years ago. That's it. Amber frowned, tapping her tablet. They're not buying gone. Found a deportation record. Javier and Rosa Torres, 2020, but no follow-up. They think you're hiding contact, or they're still liable. They want you in a hearing, Monday, 10 a.m., Santa Monica Courthouse. A hearing? Mia's voice cracked, panic clawing up. I can't. I'm here working. This is my life now. I know, Amber said, softening. Elon's pissed, wants you kept on, but HR's hands are tied. You're a minor. They could pull you into foster care if it's unresolved. We're stalling them, but they're fast. Mia stood pacing, her skateboard tipping over with a clatter. Foster care? I ran for a reason. Locked fridges, fake smiles. I'm not going back. We're trying, Amber said. Housing helps, shows stability, but they're after your parents' status. Elon's got lawyers, we'll fight it. Just be ready Monday. Mia nodded, numb, as Amber left. She sank back into her chair, the solar skin sim mocking her, 18.7%, a win she couldn't hold. Her parents, Javier and Rosa, flashed in her mind, her dad's grin over an engine, her mom's hands slipping her graph paper. Deported to Mexico, no word since, a void she'd filled with sketches and survival. Were they alive? Looking for her? She'd stopped asking years ago, too raw to chase ghosts. But now the system was prying, and she couldn't outrun it. She grabbed her stuff and skated back to Unit 12, the night air sharp against her face. Inside, she dropped onto the bed, pulling her portfolio close. The foldable grid stared back, 33.2%, her ticket here, but it felt fragile now. She dug out her burner phone, no messages since Rico's last night. She typed anyway, Rico, you around? Need to talk. Sent. A lifeline maybe, Saturday blurred, lab work, sim tweaks, the solar skin hitting 19.1%, but her mind was on Monday. Sunday, she stayed in Unit 12, pacing, sketching aimlessly, the hearing a shadow she couldn't shake. At 8 p.m., her phone buzzed. Rico, near Fremont, yeah? What's up? She texted back, courthouse crap Monday. Can you drive? His reply, got you. 9 a.m. your place. Monday dawned gray, the hearing looming. Mia dressed, jeans, jacket, SpaceX patch, and met Rico outside, his truck rumbling. Court stuff? He asked as she climbed in. Yeah, she said, clutching her backpack. Old mess, might screw Tesla. He nodded, no judgment, and drove. At the Santa Monica Courthouse, a squat brick building, Mia stepped into a waiting room, Rico at her side. A social worker, Ms. Carter, mid-40s, clipboard in hand, called her in. Mia Torres, she said, peering over glasses. Runaway 2 years. Now at Tesla? Explain. Mia squared her shoulders, voice steady. Ran from foster care, bad fits. Tesla's a gig, housing, pay. I'm stable. Carter scribbled, unconvinced. Your parents, deported 2020. Contact? None, Mia said, her throat tight. Lost them after. Carter flipped a page, frowning. Records say they re-entered, illegally, 2022. Detained in Texas, released last year. No trace since. You knew? Mia froze, the room spinning. No, she whispered. I didn't. Carter sighed. You're 17, need a guardian or emancipation. Tesla's not enough. We'll petition custody unless you've got family. I don't. Mia snapped, then softer. They're gone. We'll see, Carter said, closing her file. Decisions next week. Stay put, housing helps, but don't run again. Mia stumbled out, Rico catching her arm. You okay? He asked. No, she said, voice breaking. They're here, somewhere. And I didn't know. Back at Tesla, Elon met her in the lab, Amber at his side. Heard the hearing's a mess, he said, frowning. Lawyers are on it. Housing's locked, you're staying. Solar skin? 19.1. She muttered, hollow. Good, he said. Focus there. We'll handle the rest. She nodded, sinking into her desk, the sim glowing. Her parents, alive maybe, shifted everything, a wire she couldn't untangle. But Tesla was here, her designs alive, and she clung to that, even as the past roared closer. The Tesla lab glowed late into Tuesday night, its screens casting a blue sheen over Mia Torres as she hunched over her laptop in conference room B. It was past 8 p.m., her third week at Tesla ticking down, and the solar skin sim stared back. 19.6% efficiency now, edges tightened, vents optimized. Her skateboard sat under the table, the SpaceX patch on her jacket crumpled from a day of restless pacing. She'd been at it since Monday's courthouse shock. Her parents, Javier and Rosa, re-entering the US in 2022, detained, then lost again, words that had cracked her world open. She'd thrown herself into work, tweaking designs, dodging the chaos in her head, but it lingered, a wire sparking too close to her focus. Unit 12, her new apartment, was a lifeline, quiet, hers, but sleep came hard. Last night, she'd lain awake, the housing forms ink still fresh in her mind, wondering if her parents were out there, alive, searching for her. Social services threat, custody or emancipation by next week, loomed, but the bigger weight was them. Javier's grin, Rosa's hands, ghosts she'd buried 5 years ago after the raid. She'd survived by not looking back, sketching solar dreams to fill the void. But now they might be real, and she didn't know how to chase them. Doctor Kim broke her spiral, leaning in with a tablet. 19.6 is solid, she said, her voice cutting the silence. Elon's pushing for 20 by Friday, disaster relief demos next month. You're close. Mia nodded, dragging a slider on the sim. Thinner film here, might do it. The output ticked to 19.8, and Dr. Kim smiled, rare and quick. Good. Prototypes tomorrow. Javier's got the array at 31.7 now, too. You're pulling double duty. Triple if you count this. Javier called from his bench, holding up the hexagonal array, its cells glinting under a lamp. Your spacing's a pain to solder, but it sings. Mia managed a grin, her first real one all day. Worth it if it hits 32. She crossed to him, tweaking a vent angle, her hands steady despite the storm inside. The team had embraced her, her designs, her grit, and Tesla felt like a pulse she could match, a rhythm stronger than her doubts. By 9 p.m., the solar skin sim hit 20.1%, and Javier's array nudged 31.9. She exhaled, sinking into her chair as the lab emptied, her wins stacking up. 3 weeks wasn't forever, but it was hers. Wednesday dawned gray, and Mia skated to HQ, the air thick with fog. Elon met her in the lab, a Red Bull in hand, eyes bright despite the hour. 20.1? He asked, scanning her screen. Yeah, she said, turning it. And the array's at 31.9. Prototypes today, could push higher. Love it, he said, grinning. Solar skin's a sleeper hit, off-grid's begging for this. Array's a roof king. Your gig's up soon, what's your play? Mia blinked, caught off guard. Play? Stay or go, he said, sipping. 3 weeks was a test, 33% on the grid, 20 on the skin, 32 looming on the array. You're past proving. I want you full-time, internship, paid, school if you want it. Your call. Her chest tightened, hope and fear colliding. Full-time? She echoed, her voice small. Yep, he said. You're 17, HR's a pain with minors, but we'll sort it. Housing's locked, lawyers are on the custody crap. Say yes and you're Tesla. She nodded, slow, the weight sinking in. Yes, she said, firmer. I'm in. Cool, he said, clapping her shoulder. Paperwork's tomorrow, Amber's got it. Push those prototypes today, I'll check in. He was out, leaving her reeling. Full-time at Tesla, housing, a future, not a runaway's dream but real. She dove into the prototypes, soldering with Javier, testing the skin with Dr. Kim, her hands flying. By 5 p.m., the array hit 32.2%, the skin 20.3%, numbers that hummed with promise. but the wires of her past snapped tight that evening. Amber found her in Unit 12, knocking sharp at 7 p.m., a manila envelope in hand. "Mia," she said, stepping in. "Social Services sent this court order. Hearings moved up, tomorrow, 9 a.m. They've got more on your parents." Mia's stomach dropped, her skateboard clattering as she stood. "More?" Amber handed her the envelope, her face grim. "Tracked M. Javier and Rosa Torres, detained in Texas last year, released on bond. Last known address, a migrant camp near San Diego, 6 months ago. They're pushing custody, say yo there's unless proven otherwise." Mia tore it open, scanning the pages, names, dates, a grainy photo of 2 tired faces she barely recognized. Her dad's eyes, her mom's jaw, old and now worn. "San Diego," she whispered, her voice breaking. "They're that close?" "Maybe," Amber said. "Records are shaky, could have moved. Court wants you there tomorrow. Tesla's lawyers will fight, but they're digging hard. Your runaway status. They're saying it's neglect, not choice." "Neglect?" Mia snapped, anger flaring. "They took M. I didn't leave." "I know," Amber said, steady. "Elon's pissed. Lawyers are prepping emancipation, but it's slow. This hearing's a hurdle. Doe, tell him you're stable here. We've got your back." Mia nodded, numb, as Amber left. She sank onto the bed, the photo trembling in her hands. 6 months ago, San Diego, 100 miles south. Were they looking for her? Did they know she made it this far? She grabbed her burner phone, texting Rico, "Court again, 9 a.m., Santa Monica. Can you?" His reply pinged fast, "Yeah, I'm there." Thursday morning, Rico's truck rumbled up, and Mia climbed in, the envelope in her backpack. "Parents?" he asked, glancing at her. "Maybe," she said, staring out the window. "Don't know what to feel." He nodded, silent, and drove. The courthouse was packed, clerks, families, a hum of tension. Ms. Carter, the social worker, waited in a small room, her clipboard thicker now. "Mia," she said, peering up. "Tesla's impressive, housing, job, but your parents' file's live. They're in the system, undocumented, last seen San Diego. Custody's theirs unless you're emancipated or they're unfit." "They're not unfit," Mia said, her voice sharp. "ICE took him, I ran after. I'm fine now, Tesla's my life." Carter scribbled, unmoved. "Court sees a minor, no guardian. We're contacting San Diego, might bring him in. Decision's Monday, but if they claim you, you're theirs." Mia's fist clenched, her nails biting. "And if I don't want that?" "Emancipation," Carter said. "Tesla's lawyers filed, takes weeks. Stay put till then." She dismissed her, and Mia stumbled out, Rico at her side. "They're alive," she told him, her voice raw. "Close, maybe." "What do I do?" "Find em," he said, simple. "Or let em find you. Your call." Back at Tesla, Mia threw herself into the prototypes, the array hitting 32.5 by noon, the skin 20.4. Elon checked in, grinning at the numbers. "Killing it," he said, then paused, seeing her face. "Court?" "Yeah," she muttered. "Parents, alive maybe. San Diego. Custody's a mess." He frowned, decisive. "Lawyers are on it, emancipation's priority. You're Tesla now, we don't lose talent to red tape. Focus on this, let us handle that." She nodded, but her mind split. 32.5% glowed on her screen, a surge she'd built, while San Diego burned in her chest, a surge she couldn't start. That night, in Unit 12, she stared at the photo, her burner phone buzzing. "Rico, road trip?" "I'll drive." She typed back, "Saturday. San Diego." Her gig was secure, her designs alive, but her parents were a wire she had to pull, even if it unraveled everything. Elon, in his office, scrolled Mia's Sims, texting Amber, "Push emancipation, fast. She's gold." He didn't know, not yet, how close Mia was to finding her roots, or how that surge might spark a reckoning beyond Tesla's walls. The highway stretched south under a Saturday morning sky, gray and heavy with the promise of rain. Mia Torres sat in the passenger seat of Rico's beat-up pickup, her skateboard wedged between her knees, the SpaceX patch on her jacket catching faint glints from the dashboard. Her backpack rested at her feet, the manila envelope from social services tucked inside. Javier and Rosa Torres, last seen 6 months ago in a San Diego migrant camp. She'd stared at their grainy photo all night in Unit 12, her Tesla housing, tracing her dad's eyes, her mom's jaw, faces she hadn't seen since the 2020 raid tore them away. Now, 100 miles from Fremont, she was chasing a thread she wasn't sure she'd find, or wanted to. Rico drummed the wheel, his surfboards rattling in the bed. "You good?" he asked, glancing over, his voice cutting through the hum of tires on asphalt. "No," Mia said, her tone flat but honest. "Don't know what I'm walking into." He nodded, no push, just drove. They'd left at 6 a.m., her Tesla gig on pause for the weekend, her prototypes, solar skin at 20.4%, array at 32.5%, left glowing in the lab. Elon had texted last night, "Lawyers say Monday's big, emancipation's close. Take the day, sort your head." She hadn't replied, just packed and waited for Rico, her burner phone her only tether. San Diego loomed, a maybe that could rewrite everything. The camp was east of the city, a sprawl of tents and trailers off a dusty road, ringed by chain link and faded signs. They pulled in at 9:30, dust swirling as Rico parked. Mia stepped out, the air thick with diesel and salt, her heart hammering. Social services said 6 months ago. She told Rico, clutching the envelope. "Might be gone. Only one way to know," he said, grabbing a water bottle from the truck. "I'll wait, yell if you need me." She nodded, stepping into the maze. Faces turned, worn, wary, kids kicking a deflated ball, women stirring pots over campfires. She held up the photo, her voice steady despite the shake in her hands. "Javier and Rosa Torres, anyone seen them?" Head shook, murmurs in Spanish and English, nothing. She moved deeper, tent to tent, the weight growing. 5 years gone, now this. At a trailer near the back, an older man in a faded cap squinted at the photo. "Torres?" he said, accent thick. "Yeah, maybe. Left months back, work up north, I think. Fresno, picking crops." Mia's breath caught. "Fresno? When?" 4 or 5 months, he said, shrugging. "Good people, quiet. Asked about a girl once, their kid." Her chest tightened, hope and dread colliding. "Me?" she whispered, too low for him to hear. She thanked him, stumbling back to Rico, the photo creased in her grip. "Fresno," she said, climbing in. "They're not here, moved north." "Fresno's close," he said, starting the engine. 3 hours from Fremont. "Weekend, no," she cut in, sharp. "Not today. I need time." Fresno was 150 miles from Tesla, a lead she couldn't chase yet, not with Monday's hearing, not with her head spinning. Rico nodded, pulling out, the camp shrinking in the mirror. She stared out, the photo in her lap, her parents' faces a blur of what ifs. They'd asked about her, alive, searching, but she missed them by months, a gap she couldn't bridge. Back at Unit 12 by 3 p.m., Mia dropped onto the bed, the silence heavy. Her burner buzzed. "Amber, courts tomorrow, 1 p.m. Lawyers say good shot at emancipation, housing, jobs solid. Be there." Mia texted back, "Got it." She pulled her portfolio out, flipping to the solar skin sketch, 20.4% a lifeline she could hold. Tesla was her anchor, full-time now, Elon's offer locked. But her parents were a current pulling her loose. Sunday blurred. Lab time, pushing the array to 32.7%, the skin to 20.6, numbers that steadied her. Rico checked in, "Fresno next week if you want." She replied, "Maybe." Monday loomed, the hearing her next fight. She skated to HQ at dawn, sinking into her desk, the prototypes humming. Elon swept in at 10, a coffee in hand, scanning her screen. 20.6? He asked, grinning. "Yeah," she said, turning it. "Array's 32.7, prototypes are tight." "Go," he said, then paused. Court today? 1 p.m., she said, her voice tight. Emancipation might win. Will win, he corrected. Lawyers are sharks. Housing gig your numbers? They can't touch you. San Diego? Her throat caught. When yesterday, camp's empty. They're in Fresno, maybe. Don't know. He nodded sharp. Focus here. Lawyers will sort the rest. You're Tesla now. We don't let systems screw talent. He clapped her shoulder, out as fast as he'd come. Mia exhaled, diving back into the Sims, her hands steadying on the keys. AT 1230. Rico's truck rumbled up, and she climbed in, the courthouse a 45-minute haul. Found M? He asked. No, she said, clutching her backpack. Close, though. Too close. The Santa Monica courthouse buzzed, a clerk ushering her into a small room. Ms. Carter waited, clipboard thicker, a lawyer in a crisp suit beside her. Tesla's, Mia guessed. Mia Torres, Carter said, peering up. Housing stable, Tesla's legit, impressive. But your parents, Fresno leads live. We're tracing. Mia's pulse spiked. Tracing? Contacted Fresno PD, Carter said. Might bring em in. Custody's theirs if they claim you. Emancipation's on table, but minors need guardians unless proven independent. I am, Mia snapped, leaning forward. Tesla's full-time, housing, pay. I'm not a kid anymore. The Tesla lawyer, a wiry guy named Patel, cut in. She's self-sufficient, employment, residence, no reliance. Emancipation's legal, custody's moot if parents can't prove care. Carter scribbled, unconvinced. They're undocumented, detained once, could be again. Court split, stability's yours, Mia, but blood's heavy. Rulings Wednesday, 10 a.m. We'll have Fresno by then. Mia nodded, numb, as Patel whispered. We've got this, numbers don't lie. She stumbled out, Rico at her side. Wednesday, she told him, her voice raw. They might find him. Good or bad? He asked, starting the truck. Both, she said, staring out. Back at Tesla, she sank into her desk, the array hitting 33% in a late sim, the skin 20.8, when she clung to. Amber checked in. Lawyers say 70% emancipation, Fresno's the wild card. That night, in Unit 12, Mia paced, the photo on her bed. Fresno, 150 miles, a maybe she couldn't touch. Her burner buzzed, Rico, Wednesday after court. Fresno if you need. She typed, yeah? Thanks. Tesla was hers, 33%, 20.8%, a future. But her parents were a wire sparking closer, a reunion or a rupture she couldn't predict. Elon, in his office, scrolled her Sims, texting Amber, Wednesday's it. Push emancipation hard. She's ours. He didn't know, not yet, how Fresno's thread was tightening, or how Mia's road to reunion might rewrite her Tesla rise. But the prototypes glowed, her spark burned, and Wednesday would tell. The Santa Monica courthouse loomed under a Wednesday morning drizzle, its brick facade slick and gray as Mia Torres stepped out of Rico's truck at 9:45 a.m. Her skateboard was tucked under her arm, the SpaceX patch on her jacket damp but defiant, her backpack heavy with the manila envelope and her portfolio, 33% array, 20.8% solar skin, her Tesla lifeline. Today was the ruling, emancipation or custody, her fate hinging on a judge's word, her parents' shadow stretching from Fresno, 150 miles north. She'd barely slept in Unit 12, her Tesla housing, the photo of Javier and Rosa haunting her dreams, faces she'd lost, then found, then lost again. Rico clapped her shoulder, his voice steady. You've got this, kid. Whatever happens. Yeah, she said, her breath fogging in the chill. Thanks for the ride. He nodded, waiting as she strode inside, her sneakers squeaking on the tile. The hearing room was small, fluorescent lit, packed with tension. Ms. Carter at a table with her clipboard, Tesla's lawyer Patel in his crisp suit, a judge in black robes flipping through files. Mia sat, her hands clenched, the clock ticking to 10. Case 2371, Mia Torres. The judge began, voice dry. Emancipation petition versus custody claim. Evidence? Patel stood sharp. Mia is 17, self-sufficient. Full-time Tesla internship, stable housing, income. No reliance on guardians, parents deported 2020, absent since. She's independent, Your Honor. Carter countered, her tone clipped. Parents re-entered 2022, detained, released, last in Fresno. Blood ties remain. Minors need oversight unless unfit. We've traced them, contact pending. Mia's pulse spiked. Traced? The judge frowned, scanning papers. Fresno leads fresh, 6 months old. Stability strong, Ms. Torres. Tesla's rare for 17, but family's a factor. Update? Carter nodded. Fresno PD found M. Javier and Rosa Torres, migrant housing yesterday. They're en route, here by noon. Want custody. Mia's breath caught, the room tilting. Noon, 2 hours. Her parents, alive, coming for her. She'd searched San Diego, missed them, and now they were here, a wire she couldn't cut. They're here? She whispered, loud enough for Patel to glance over. Seems so. He murmured then to the judge. Emancipation still valid, 5 years absent, no support. Mia's built her life, custody's disruption now. The judge tapped his pen, eyes on Mia. Ms. Torres, speak. She stood, legs shaky, voice raw. They're my parents, loved me, raised me till IC took M. I ran after, survived, got here, Tesla, housing, my work. I'm not a kid needing saving. I want this, my life. Emancipation's fair. The judge nodded, scribbling. Noted. Parents' arrival complicates. Recess till noon. We'll hear M. He banged the gavel, and Mia sank back, her mind a storm. Patel leaned in. 70% still, your record's gold. Hold tight. She stumbled out, Rico waiting in the hall. They're coming, she told him, her voice breaking. Noon. He whistled low. Want them back? Yeah, she said, then softer. No. Don't know. They sat on a bench, the clock crawling. At 11:50, a door creaked. 2 figures, worn and hesitant, stepped in. Javier, grayer, limping slightly, Rosa beside him, her hair streaked white, eyes searching. Mia froze, then stood, the photo in her hand trembling. Mom? She whispered. Dad? Mia? Rosa gasped, rushing forward, Javier behind, tears streaking their faces. She met them halfway, their arms crashing around her, a tangle of Spanish and sobs. Mija, we looked, you're alive. 5 years melted, her dad's hands rough on her shoulders, her mom's grip fierce. Tesla? Javier asked, pulling back, his voice hoarse. You did that? Yeah, she said, half laughing, half crying. Solar stuff, your engines, Dad, got me there. The hearing resumed, her parents beside her, Carter watching, Patel poised. The judge cleared his throat. Mr. and Mrs. Torres, custody? Javier spoke, halting. We lost her, I see borders. She's strong, built this. We want her free, not ours to hold back. Emancipation, she's earned it. Rosa nodded, squeezing Mia's hand. We're here now, close, but she's hers. Carter frowned, but the judge nodded. Rare case, parents' consent, records exceptional. Emancipation granted, effective today. Custody's null, Ms. Torres, you're independent. Family's your choice. Mia exhaled, relief crashing through. Thank you, she managed, her parents' hands still warm on hers. Outside, they stood in the drizzle, Rico grinning. Free, huh? Yeah, she said, hugging them again. Fresno, you staying? Close, Javier said. Works there, legal now, papers pending. You. Tesla, she said firm. But I'll visit, weekends maybe. Back at HQ, Elon met her in the lab, her badge now permanent. Heard you won, he said, grinning. Parents too? Yeah, she said, showing her screen, array at 33.2%, skin at 21%. They're proud. Damn right, he said. 33.2's a beast, skin's disaster ready. You're full-time, school if you want, sky's the limit. He clapped her shoulder, out as fast as he come. That night, in Unit 12, Mia sat with Javier and Rosa, Rico dropping takeout. Tacos, a celebration. From a skateboard, Javier marveled, tracing her portfolio. To this. Started with you, she said, smiling at his awe, Rosa's quiet tears. They left for Fresno at dusk, promises of calls, visits, a thread reknit. Mia stayed, her space hers, her designs alive, 33.2%, 21%, a future sheet forged. Months later, her solar skin hit 22%, powering relief tents in a storm zone, the array topping 34% on Tesla roofs. She graduated high school online, her parents at the virtual ceremony, Fresno a weekend drive. Elon tweeted her work, Torres grid, boardwalk to breakthrough, and she smiled, the SpaceX patch still on her jacket, a reminder of where she'd begun. The boardwalk was a memory, Tesla her stage, her family a light beyond the line she'd crossed. Mia Torres, 17, free, a spark that burned bright, hadn't just survived. She'd reshaped the sun itself.